Anyway, we might as well move on to the next topic here. We're gonna move into the NFL, and we got a bombshell. Wow, I stopped in my tracks here because it shocked me, even though I saw it before. I mean, then again, it didn't shock me. It really didn't. Lil Shadamas, I knew the contract was sent. I knew he turned down a couple teams, but when you get that reality check coming in the mail, I mean, hey, Russell Wilson got his. Does Russell Wilson nixing the Eagles trade make him the NFL's biggest loser? Zay, the mic is yours once again.
I'm gonna have a hot take. It does not make him the biggest loser, but it puts the Philadelphia Eagles in a microscope because they had Jalen Hurts and they didn't believe in him, even when he showcased his talents. And Jalen Hurts, he made cryptic messages throughout his press conferences talking about people don't believe in him, people close to him don't believe in him. And now you're seeing this where the Eagles had an opportunity. The trade was essentially done. Russell Wilson removed this. I don't want to be an Eagle. So I'm wondering what was their plan for Jalen Hurts in the beginning if they didn't believe him in the first place. If they were planning just to move on and trade him to to the Philadelphia Eagles. Was Jalen Hurts going to the Seahawks? Was that going to be the plan? Because that could have been a totally different regime with Jalen Hurts and with Pete Carroll. We could have saw the Seahawks in the damn championship with Jalen Hurts if that was the case. I just don't understand what the Eagles organization is doing in terms of who's their franchise player, who's not their franchise player. We all know Russell Wilson. Many reports have said it. Many players have said it. He's an interesting cat. He's different. He's somewhat of a we don't know. He paints himself in the media as one way, but he's really another way. There's a lot of different stories, but the Eagles are another situation because they paint themselves as we believed in Jalen Hurts this entire time. We believed in this dude. And I don't know if the Russell Wilson with the Eagles puts them in the Super Bowl at all. Because I don't think you get A.J. Brown if you trade for Russell Wilson. I don't think you get a lot of different players that the Eagles were able to get if you trade for Russell Wilson. A lot of guys, you don't get a lot of guys if you add Wilson. Wilson's contract was massive. And he would have required a huge contract to stay with them in the first place. So it's interesting, to say the least, what this Eagles team has been to their team. Now, going to Russell Wilson, I don't think it was a smart idea to spurn the Eagles, in my opinion. I think you had the opportunity to really be a dynamic team in the NFC East with you as a quarterback, as the head honcho of the NFC East. NFC East is one of the most talked about divisions in football history. Everyone talks about the NFC East between the rivalries, the players, the stars that come from there, the arenas, the stadiums you play in night out, Philly, New York, Dallas, Washington. Like those are like highly spoke about stadiums, and I think that's something that he, for whatever reason, was like, nah, I'm good. I don't know if it's because of the pressure of being playing in the tri-state area. I don't know if it's because he felt like the Eagles weren't going anywhere soon, but I just felt like that was something that he should have did instead of saying, nah, I'm not going there. I want to go to Denver instead. I don't know if Denver, between Denver and Philly, if Denver was the better location in terms of personnel, in terms of coaching staff to go. But I think it should have been, you should have focused your sights on, yeah, maybe Philly is the best location for me. But I don't know what his mom said.
I mean, look, Russell Wilson is the biggest idiot in professional sports. First of all, he should have never left Seattle. Can we start over there? He should have never left. He did. He requested a trade. And at the time, the Denver Broncos was a very attractive team. They had a top 5 in the making defense, right? They had the weapons that, you would like. So I understand why he may have thought that, destination was attractive, but you could have said the same thing about the Commanders. I understand that franchise is not known for winning, but to me personally, they have one of the best receiving groups in all of football. They had a defense that was promising as well. He could have went over there. I can make the same argument with the Eagles. They had something that they was building that was promising, right? Remember, even though they lost in the wild card to Tampa Bay, they went on a streak where they won like 5 to 6 straight games with Jalen Hurts. So they were actually building momentum from then. And that's why when a lot of people, say we didn't see the Eagles coming, when you really look at it and look at everything last year and look at that little streak, that was a sign that they were building something that ended up being a Super Bowl run that they went on last year, that they fell short and almost won the daggone chip. And then the Seattle Seahawks made the playoffs without Russell Wilson. So you talk about a double whammy. You have this team in Philly that I nixed right? Going to the Super Bowl, I'm watching it, and then you have Seattle making the playoffs. I'm at home, I'm watching it. Of course, he has to be the biggest loser. Okay, literally. Now, I have a lot of what ifs that I wrote down because this is actually a big thing here because there's a lot of what ifs here if he accepted that trade or not. So let's talk about it. If he did accept that trade to Philly, Geno Smith doesn't get another shot. Geno Smith is buried in the bench forever. We never will know how good Geno Smith is. He's a pretty good quarterback. If you don't know, you should know. One of the most accurate deep throws in the league right now, right? Aaron Rodgers requests a trade to the Jets. That will be the Denver Broncos. So now Zay and Zach hype, can't sleep at night, going on the show. Jets, nah, he would go to Denver, and Nathaniel Hackett probably wouldn't have got fired because he will be the sell to bring Aaron Rodgers over there, right? I got more. Juan Rivera, let's say hypothetically, because the Commanders was also a team here. Let's say he goes there. Juan Rivera likely gets fired because they will blame the coach and not Russell Wilson, the star who they gave the contract to. Right? It's easy to give Juan Rivera back his job because you didn't have a quarterback to work with. But now, if you do, I'm going to fire you and keep Russell Wilson to justify the contract that I gave him. Right? So he's without a job. Okay. Jalen Hurts will probably excel in Seattle, right? Who knows? I think he would still with a potential to win the NFC West. And maybe they are better than what they are with Geno. No disrespect to Geno. Geno is good, but Jalen Hurts is better, right? So there's a lot of what if. Sean Payton will be coaching the Cardinals right now because it became the Cardinals, Kyler Murray, or Russell Wilson, right? Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers is on Denver with Nathaniel Hackett, then you got to go to the Cardinals, and now the Cardinals are not rebuilding because why would you rebuild and pay Sean Payton top dollar with a trade? Now D-Hop is still on that team. Now we don't have no D-Hop content here, right? Look at all the things that's happening right now. Zay, I would give you a couple minutes to respond to everything I said, and then I'm gonna pick it back up to finish my lap.
I guess shout out to Russell Wilson. If that's the case, shout out to him. Like honestly, it's the Russell Wilson to the Eagles would have been box office. It would have been blockbuster, because I think it would have been a bigger trade than him going to Denver, and I think because of where he's going to Philly. Philly is a huge football town. It changes a lot of dynamics. I think especially in Denver. I know the big selling point for Denver is John Elway. That's the biggest sell point ever. Like that's all everyone ever talks about John Elway in Denver. It's never anything more. They don't talk about the young defense. They don't talk about the young receivers. They don't talk about talk about nothing else but John Elway. When in terms of Denver, I think that's one of the selling points, a main selling point in any pitch to any player. I think it's interesting. A lot of different things you said, and that makes a lot more sense because Geno. What happens to Geno if Russell Wilson goes to Philly? What happened? But that's another thing. What happens to Jalen Hurts if Russell Wilson goes to Philly? We will never see who Jalen Hurts is, or he gets moved to Seattle and we see a different type of quarterback. Do we see? I think Jalen Hurts becomes an MVP under Pete Carroll. If Pete Carroll can make Geno Smith look the way he did, imagine what he does with Jalen Hurts. It's a different regime, a different dynamic. D-Hop, another play. Like it's so many dominoes that fall if this trade goes through. And I think it's interesting how all of that works because not only does it change what the Eagles are doing, but it puts the Eagles in a microscope. So because it's not only asking Russell Wilson, what are you doing? You have to ask the Eagles, what are you doing? Because you almost got rid of a dynamic quarterback who won 5 out of the 6 games in the final season to go to the wild card, to move on for him, to put in a new quarterback in a new system because he has this huge status as a big-time player in the NFL. It's confusing to me how these Eagles organizations get away with so much because they have some great drafts. Don't get me wrong.
And they had some bad drafts that they was able to overcome. Like, for example, giving Carson Wentz that bad contract because they drafted Jalen Hurts, his replacement, a year after they gave him the contract. Literally, or the same year they gave him the contract, they drafted Jalen Hurts. So they was able to get off of that bad mistake. They was able to get off not drafting Justin Jefferson and picking Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. They was able to get A.J. Brown. So, they have a lot of luck on their side. Even with this trade that we're talking about right now that didn't go through, that they wanted to go through, but went through, it saved them. So the Eagles have been saved by the bell. That's a very good point.
It's interesting. Like I said, Russell Wilson is a very interesting dude because he makes a lot of decisions based on, I don't know exactly if he has a pro and con list in front of him. Like, I don't know if he has a pros and cons of what each move can do for him. And it's interesting when he chose the Denver Broncos, how everything unfolded for the better or worse for him and whatever. Like the Broncos did have some injuries. He had some injuries. The play calling wasn't solid. It was a lot of different microcosms when his tenure so far with the Broncos. We hope he changes with Sean Payton. But yeah, man, this trade could have really set off a whole different look and perspective of the NFL. But yeah, right now, like when you said when I saw this report, my mind immediately went to the Eagles because it's like, damn, if Russell Wilson went to the Eagles, is AJ Brown there? Is Devontae is Devontae Smith the number one? Is he not the number one? Like, what happens to everyone else? I don't even think Lane Johnson and dad, Kelsey, Jason Kelsey.
Jason Kelsey.
I don't think they come back with Russell Wilson as the quarterback. I think they retire. I think it's everything changes, and I think it's a disservice truly to Jalen Hurts because he's been talking about it for the last 2 seasons. This cat been talking about it. Like people close to you don't believe in you, and I'm thinking his family, I'm thinking his friends. No, it's a damn organization. It's ridiculous.
He probably got wind of the trade, right? When you think about it, he probably knew it was going down or was going to go down. But I think for me, right? Russell Wilson, he tried to copy that Tom Brady blueprint, sitting in that press box with Roger Goodell, sitting in that press box when Matthew Stafford went to the Rams and, he requested a trade there. He tried to do the same thing. And that's where you trying to copy the blueprint fails, right? And, it's a copycat league, not only for organizations, but players. And he tried to be the player to copy what Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford ultimately did, and it didn't work out for him. It was a big epic fail. And another point that I have, because you mentioned in the last topic when we talked about basketball and the NBA and how teams are going to shift their way of thinking when it comes to giving superstars lots of money when you can have homegrown talent come out of nowhere and ball and still win. I could say the same thing about this topic right here. When you look at Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, and Brock Purdy, and how Brock Purdy almost made the Super Bowl. If he didn't get hurt, he probably would be playing in one. How Jalen Hurts made the Super Bowl, how Geno Smith got his team to the playoffs, has this career rejuvenation. It could change the way how teams draft quarterbacks and invest in top quality quarterbacks, right? Let's say, for example, Sam Howell, excuse me, and Desmond Ridder is able to pick up the baton and get their teams to the playoffs because Atlanta already copied that blueprint with Jalen Hurts and Geno. They're building around Desmond Ridder. They got him an all-star caliber cast of young talent so he could just try to, groom his development, right? Groom his development and get going to get them to the playoffs, right? Washington got Sam Howell, Eric Bieniemy, right? Who's going to not be his enemy, but his friend, his ally with the offensive play calling that is going to be creative. So I think it's already shifting that. I mean, think about this stat, and I got this stat from Bleacher Report. There was 46 quarterbacks that had been drafted in the first round over the last 15 drafts. Only one of them won a Super Bowl, right? So you're going to see more and more as you have these quarterbacks that are going to be drafted late, third round, fourth round, that are going to get playing time. Hell, Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, was not a first round, second round player. So you're going to see a lot of them, take that cheaper blueprint and not invest in high capital, something that, for example, the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan try to do. Traded all them assets up to draft Trey Lance, who was looking horrible out here, right? I mean, obviously, we didn't get a good glimpse of him, but he got hurt. He didn't look that great in the preseason when he did, fight for the job. And then in OTAs, you sent me the video yesterday. He's missing throws or whatever. So, yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of shift in philosophy. And my last point, then I'm done, is that it's funny because this wasn't even the biggest what if of last offseason in the NFL. It wasn't. As much as I read the list of what ifs, if this trade happened, literally, it was not even the biggest one. The biggest what if was we should know that Tom Brady almost going the Dolphins having minority ownership and quarterbacking the team because that literally was going down. He retired, and the day he retired, Brian Flores, who got wind of that was going down, he dropped his lawsuit on the day that Tom Brady retired, which foiled that plot to have him reunite with Sean Payton down there in the Dolphins. Now look at the Dolphins. How do that happen? So there's a lot of what ifs, and sometimes the biggest stories are the stories that never happen. And I'm gonna leave it there.
Russell Wilson's done it again. You know, the man somehow, some way becomes part of the news, the biggest part of the news. And with his nonsense, I don't even know how this got out there that the Russell Wilson nixed the Eagles trade. I don't know who spread that information and it got out there. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain. You know, the Eagles and Russell Wilson find a way to stay in the news. You know, and I think that's a microcosm of football nowadays. It just seems like the Eagles at one point were just being praised for their draft picks, drafting the talented guys and bolstering their defense and a different nature. And now it's like, damn, you was about to get rid of Jalen Hurts, even after he looked promising, even after he was showing strides that he could command an offense. And you could go after Russell Wilson, who was showing the opposite, someone that was clearly trying to get away from a system, get away from being part of the team. So it's interesting to say the least how both of these teams were damn near both of these sides are about to damn near collude into one. Ridiculous.
And ladies and gentlemen, we about to collude into halftime here because listen, it's going down in the second half of the show. You know it.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, or leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.